All right, here's the final question. I think this is a great question to end on, and I'll give you both 2 minutes if you'd like to answer this. This comes from one of our patrons, Vincent Wise. He says, I would love to hear each of them comment on the argument they struggle the hardest to answer. It's always interesting to learn how a person deals with their weaker points. So I guess the question here is, I could ask Alex, what do you think is the most formidable argument for theism? And I'll ask Trent, what's the most formidable argument for atheism? So Alex, go for it.
It's a difficult question to answer because it's like it's impossible to tell what effect an argument is having on me until it actually finally works. Like I don't kind of feel slightly pulled and then fully pulled. It's like it either gets me or it doesn't. As I briefly mentioned a moment ago, like I think ontological arguments are some of my favorite. I'm something of a I prefer rationalistic thinking to kind of empirical argumentation or something. So like I'm fascinated by ontological arguments for the existence of God, and I love the idea of being able to kind of talk about the existence of a necessary being through thought alone. I think that that's where the potential lies to make me believe in a necessary being or something like that. I do think perhaps maybe there's some interesting arguments about consciousness. My friend Jonathan McLatchy raised a point to me recently that evil is an argument in favor of God, and not for the kind of reasons that someone like yourself, Trent, would put forward, but he said essentially, in a Bayesian sense, he was like, well, evil presupposes consciousness, and because consciousness is so much more likely on theism than atheism, evil is actually kind of, by a kind of long way around, it's actually argument in favor of God. And I thought that was really fascinating and interesting. I think the mystery of consciousness has a lot to be unpacked, and has plenty of potential. But I'm afraid I just don't really know until it convinces me. But I think the most potential lies in ontological arguments.